Okay, today on Musician's Edition, we are going to look at number 12 out of the Essential Elements book. This is on page 5 of the mallet section. Okay, so as we look at number 12 here, we see that we no longer have the note names written in the note heads like we have in the previous exercises, right? So what you want to do is make sure you know exactly what those notes are, right? You can see there's a little box up here, a little orange box above this that has all the notes written out in the staff, right? So you can go through there, make sure that you compare that to this and that you know what each of the notes are. Try to resist the temptation to write in all the notes underneath the notes on the page. It really creates too many things for your eyes to have to look at once, and you'll end up just getting used to reading only your written notes in there, and you won't practice as much reading the actual note where it's written, okay? So just compare it to the chart, but try really hard not to write it in. Now, sometimes there may be an unfamiliar note that you haven't seen before or that you're just really struggling with. If it's like one note, then don't worry about it. Write it in, it's cool. Down the road, try to get to the point where you don't have to write that note in anymore, okay? All right, so we're looking here. We can compare the first note of number 12 either to that chart or to a different piece that we've played before that also uses that note, right? Either way is fine, a good way to find what note that is. So if I look up here at the chart and compare, we start on a D, right? So it looks like I have D, D, then I go down one note, so backwards in the alphabet, that's going to be C, C, and then the next note goes down one more, but it has the lowercase b flat symbol, right? So it's a B with the flat symbol, so we've got B flat there in measure 2, right? So it's B flat, B flat, B flat, and then a rest on beat 4, okay? So let's say those two measures in time and just get used to reading those notes without playing anything, okay? Here we go, ready, go. D, D, C, C, B flat, B flat, B flat, okay? And practice that as many times as you need to where you can really say them comfortably in time, okay? Once you feel good about that, let's look at the next group of two measures, right? So this one starts on a note that's a little bit higher than the one we had before, right? It's actually 2 notes higher than the note we started on at the beginning of the piece, right? If we compare it to the chart or compare it to measure 3 of number 8, we see that note right there in measure 3 is an F, right? So we have F, F, and then we go down one note, so that's going to take us to E, but again we have that flat symbol, so E flat, E flat, and then in the last measure here, we have the same note that we had at the beginning of the piece, right? Remember that was D. So we have D, and then down one note, C, then down one more note, and also flat, B flat, okay? So when we put that all together, we have F, F, E flat, D, C, B flat. Okay, so now let's see if we can go through the whole piece and say all the note names, right? Remember, we're not writing these in unless there's just one note or 2 notes that you're really struggling to remember every time, okay? Here we go, from the beginning. Say the note names, ready, go. D, D, C, C, B flat, B flat, B flat. F, F, E flat, D, C, B flat. Repeat, D, D, C, C, B flat, B flat, B flat. F, F, E flat, D, C, B flat. Now, one of the reasons I think this exercise is really important is that when you just say the note names, you're only working on reading the note and then identifying that note in your mind, right? We haven't quite completed the circle of then having to transfer the note from our mind to our hands onto the keyboard, right? Which is a big step. It's a lot to think about all at once, right? So we really want to break it down and get really good at just reading the notes, right? If you're having trouble reading the notes, then when you add the mallets, it's going to be really hard. So keep practicing reading the notes until it feels easy, right? And then you're ready to move on to trying to play it with your hands, okay? Now, before we play with our hands, we have a couple things we have to consider here, right? You'll notice in all of our other pieces so far, we've had the sticking written in. In this one, we do not. So we have to pick our own sticking, right? And then we have to think about when we're going to move for some of these big leaps, okay? Let's talk about the moving portion first, and then we'll pick a sticking. So on beat 4 of measure 2, during the first quarter rest that we have on the piece, we want to move our hands and reposition them over the next note that's coming up, which we identified as an F, right? So I'm going from B flat all the way up to F over the course of one beat, all right? So we're gonna have to move quickly. We just have to know where we're going and just jump right up to F, right? And so let's think right now that we're probably going to play those B flats as right, left, right. Okay, so I'm gonna play that last B flat, it's gonna be a right, and then during the rest, I'm gonna jump my right hand up to F, right? And make sure that my right hand is ready to go on F because that's what the hand I'm gonna play F with as well, okay? So I'm just gonna practice playing B flat, rest, F, okay? So here we go. Right, and making sure that I can get to the center of the bar on each of those, right? You can also just practice moving from one to the other without actually playing them. That's helpful too, okay? Let's play it one more time. Ready, go. Right, so as soon as your mallet hits the B flat, you can start moving. That way you get there as quickly as possible. You have a little bit more time here. You don't actually have to move that fast, but getting in the habit of jumping from one note to the next note as quickly as you can will help you down the road to be able to move a little more quickly around the keyboard. So we're starting to build that habit right now, even though you have a decent amount of time here during that one beat of rest, but we want to get used to moving quickly around the keys. Okay, the next spot that we have to move is beat 4 of measure 4. It's not as big of a move as what we just did, but we do want to take a note of that, right? So we're playing a B flat on beat 3, rest on 4, D on beat 1. We can go ahead and assume when we talk about sticking here in a minute, we're probably going to decide to play that B flat with the right hand and D with the right hand as well. So let's try that B flat from measure 4, rest for a beat, and then get to D on beat 1. Remember, we're gonna move as quickly as we can, and then hang out there until it's time to play that D. Okay, so here we go. Ready, and we'll try it one more time. Okay, so I think now we're ready to look through some stickings and then we'll be ready to play the whole piece. So we really have two options here. We could do right, right, left, left for measure 1. We would use kind of the same sticking in measure 3 that we do in measure 1, or we could play right, left, okay? I think that that right, right, left, left is probably gonna be a little bit more accurate, right? Remember how we talked about getting to the center of the bar? I think probably doing right, right, left, left is gonna make that a little more likely that we're able to strike the bar in the place that we want to. So I'm gonna try right, right, left, left, and on the B flats, I'm gonna alternate right, left, right, okay? Before I write it in, I'm gonna try it, make sure that I like it, and then once I do try it, decide that this is the sticking I wanna use, and then I'm gonna write it in so that when I come back to this piece next time that I play it, tomorrow or whatever, that I remember the sticking and I don't have to go through this process again next time, okay? Here we go. Right, right, left, left, right, left, right. Ready, go. Okay, so I think that worked out pretty well. So what I'm gonna do now is then write in that sticking. So like I said, I will remember it next time that I play. So over the top of the D's, I'm gonna put 2 R's and then L over the C's, and then B flat's gonna be right, left, right. Okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and use the same sticking for the rest of the piece. I do wanna double check that that's gonna work, but I'm pretty confident it's gonna be okay, but let's try it real quick. So it'd be F with the right hand twice, E flat with the left hand twice, and then right hand on D, left hand on C, right hand on B flat. Let's try it. Ready, go. Okay, that works pretty well. So what I can do now is write all of that in again, right? Or what I can do is over the top of the F, I can write ETC period, right? Which just tells me etc., right? Keep using the sticking that's already there for the rest of the piece, right? So it's going to tell me the same sticking you used in measure 1 and 2, I'm also going to use in measure 3 and 4. Or you can just write them all in. Either way is fine. But you can start to see when we're having to write stuff like stickings and whatnot, why it's really important that we get in the habit of not writing in note names, because reading the R's and L's and reading the rhythms and the notes moving around on the staff and the letters that we're writing in for the notes is going to be too much for our eyes and our brains to take in all at once and be able to execute the piece, right? So we got to get used to not writing in note names, but do write in stickings, okay? Now that we've got all that done, we're ready to play the whole piece with the repeat. Remember, during the rest, we're going to move just like we practiced, and we're going to use those stickings that we just wrote in. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, and ready, go. Okay, so that's number 12. There's a lot to do there, but you can use that same process to play pretty much every other piece that's in this book, right? As we move along, we're using the same process. We're gonna say the note names, we're gonna think through the note names, compare them to the chart, compare them to pieces of where you know what the notes are, make sure that you're really, really comfortable with that. Then we're gonna think about where our hands need to move around, some of the difficult leaps that might happen, and practice those a little bit. And then we need to think about stickings, what hands we want playing what notes, and have a really good reason for why we want to use those hands to play those notes, and then play the piece. All right? So enjoy that. Have fun practicing number 12, and I will see you next time.